Sponsored by Surfshark VPN. Click on the link in the description and use the promo code EVSource and get 83% off and 3 extra months for free. Whenever there's a new technology, it always has higher safety standards than the existing ones. It also gets a spotlight that sometimes can be favorable to the company, but oftentimes it's not. That's what has been happening with Tesla in recent years with car crashes that resulted in fatalities. When a car crashes, it generally doesn't get any media attention because there are thousands of car crashes every single day. Some car crashes end up in flames, yet they don't seem to grab headlines. But when a Tesla crashes, it's in the news almost every time, especially when the crash is fatal. So what is going on here? Why is Tesla always under the spotlight when a Tesla is involved in an accident? Is there a plot against Tesla to perhaps discredit the company and eventually push the Elon Musk-led company to a point where people lose their trust in the company, which would perhaps be the end of Tesla? This and more is what we will be discussing in today's episode, but first, let's get plugged in. Hi and welcome to EV Source. My name is Harry and I'm your host for today's dose of EVs and technology. Car crashes are not something unusual. They've become a part of our daily lives. But these days it would seem as if Tesla is getting unproportionate media coverage. Fine, Tesla is new. Tesla's technology such as the autopilot and FSD are both still fairly new, so I understand very well that it piques people's interests and also in some cases bringing fear into some people. Why fear? Well, people fear what they don't understand until it becomes familiar to them. And fear, unfortunately, has been the most used tool by the lamestream media to steer people's opinions. But before getting into the details, I'd like to thank Surfshark for sponsoring this video. I always use a VPN when I use public Wi-Fi, but it's also useful at home. A lot of online services use very sophisticated commercial targeting and tracking, and a VPN can protect you from that. Surfshark does a great job at blocking ads, trackers, and malicious websites, making it safer to use the internet even at home. It can also make it look like your IP address is coming from a different location. This can be useful in various ways, such as streaming your favorite videos that are only available from a specific location. But my favorite is when booking airline tickets and hotels online. You see, prices can vary depending on where they think you're coming from. And one of the best parts is that it's easy to set up across all of your devices, whether it's an iPhone or an Android, Mac or PC. Surfshark is the only VPN to offer one account to use with an unlimited number of devices. Use my code to get 83% off plus 3 extra months for free. Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risks to try it out for yourself. The link is in the description below, and thanks to Surfshark and all of you for supporting the channel. So when you look at the way the media has been covering these crashes, it begs the question, is the media biased against Tesla? Because look, according to NHTSA, over 1.3 million fatalities occurred involving motor vehicles in 2019 worldwide. And the initial reports suggest this number increased in 2020 despite the health crisis plaguing the world. But if we go with the 2019 numbers, that's approximately 3,287 fatalities every day. Now put that in perspective with Tesla, who had only 50 fatalities in the entire year. How do you think they picked Tesla over the rest? Why is it that Tesla ends up being in the headlines whenever there's a crashed Tesla? What about the fatal crashes in a Ford, Toyota, VW, or any of the other brands? An argument that I've seen people often make is an electric car catching fire is more dangerous because the batteries are difficult to suppress when they catch on fire. It can take hours to stop the flames. While it is true that electrical fires can last longer and they can burn hotter, with the right approach, an electrical fire can be put out in a matter of minutes. Firefighters are trained to handle electrical fires. They also use thermal imaging tools to determine any remaining hotspots that need to be cooled down before it's safe to hand over the vehicle to the second unit. But this doesn't make electric cars any less safe, as you will probably learn throughout this video. You can probably recall the fiery accident from April that took the lives of 2 people. This accident had nobody in the driver's seat, one person on the front passenger seat and another person on the back seat. Without getting into whose fault it was, listen to how the media spun the story.
Much speculation in the media that perhaps the autopilot was engaged.
It looks like the car was operating in a driverless mode.
That was a fiery crash that it took the fire teams a long time to put out this fire, which is not a surprising.
The rumors were spreading out of control, and the fire chief from the Woodlands Fire Department gave a public statement that tells another story. According to him, it took them only 2 to 3 minutes to put out the fire. Some minor flames continued to burst from the batteries, which they got under control very quickly. Furthermore, Elon Musk responded by saying the data logs from the vehicle indicate the car was not on autopilot when it crashed, and the car did not have FSD purchased for the vehicle. Also, the road the car was traveling on did not have lane lines that are required to turn on autopilot. Although it's not impossible to turn on autopilot on a road with no markings, it's just unlikely. And because the car was driving in a residential area at 11 p.m. on a Saturday night, my guess is they were testing the car's launch control and the driver lost control of the car, which did not end well. And the reason why nobody was in the driver's seat is that the driver perhaps could not get out through the driver's side, or maybe the flames started from his side. Then he perhaps jumped onto the passenger seat, got stuck there as well, and the rest is history. Now, this of course is just speculation, and a number of other things could have happened. And just to be clear, I'm not trying to downplay the seriousness of the incident. I truly feel this accident was a horrible thing to happen, and my thoughts are with the victims' families. But I also think this most likely could have been prevented. An update on this incident was just released today as I was making this video, and it seems the authorities have video evidence showing 2 people getting into the vehicle, one from the driver's side and another from the front passenger side. They then took off from a driveway and drove about 500 feet before crashing the car. My guess wasn't too far off, except the passenger in the front seat apparently did not move while the driver made his way to the back seat, where he was found dead. So maybe he was trying to escape through the back but was unable to do so. Now take a look at this. The NFPA reported an estimated 212,500 vehicle fires in the United States alone, from which 560 people died.
The amount of national and international news headlines dedicated to 3 Tesla fires that caused no injury is greater than all of the gasoline fires that occurred in the United States, and
with all the other cars.
Yeah, which from mid last year to today is about 250,000 gasoline car fires, which caused about 400 deaths, something like 1,200 serious injuries. Our 3 non-injurious fires got more national headlines than 250,000 deadly gasoline car fires. That's mad. What the heck is going on?
Here's a chart made by Jim Hall that illustrates quite well how unfair the news coverage is. More than 42,000 people died in the US in 2020 in a motor vehicle accident. 8 of those deaths occurred in a Tesla. That's 0.019% of the total. Yet for some odd reason, 95% of the mainstream media's coverage on deaths involving a motor vehicle was on Tesla. How does that make any sense? There were over 200,000 car fires last year in the US, but did you hear about them? Here are a few that never saw any news coverage, but had they been a Tesla, it most certainly would have made it into the front page. There are thousands of cases that never get any news coverage. Why? Because they don't generate enough views. But as soon as you find a Tesla that was in a fatal accident or burst into flames, that will generate the views for them that keep the money rolling in. Tesla's shares came down by a few points after the news coverage of the crashes. That's what fear, uncertainty, and doubt do to people, or as we call it, FUD. By now, it shouldn't come as a surprise that the big oil companies are interested in seeing Tesla fail. They've been lobbying against electric cars for many years now. Why? Because they know their multi-trillion-dollar money-making industry is going to fail if Tesla succeeds. Those in the mainstream media, especially the ones spreading fake news on a daily basis, don't care about your safety or your well-being. They only care about money and getting views. They know very well that Tesla is the golden goose of clickbait, which is why they often talk about Tesla. They don't care about the facts because if they did, they would retract and correct some of their stories on Tesla, which they haven't. The big oil companies have more than enough money to pay the mainstream media as long as they have to in order to smear Tesla to the ground. Tesla is a threat to their long-term existence and they know it. But regardless of their attempts, Tesla is doing better than ever before. They've already sold out all the vehicles for Q2. People still continue to purchase Tesla vehicles and put their trust in the company and in Elon Musk because they can see through the media's lies. But more than that, they can see what Tesla is really about. And whether it takes Tesla a year or 10 years to have fully functional level 5 autonomy, you can bet there will always be select people that don't care about their own life or the lives of others on the road while fooling around in a Tesla on autopilot. This 25-year-old was caught by the police just before another fatal Tesla accident occurred later that day. He was driving down a freeway while sitting in the back seat with no one behind the wheel. It's likely that either autopilot or FSD were in operation for the driver to be in the back seat. And if indeed he is one of the lucky few to get access to Tesla's FSD beta testing, he probably won't have it after this. There's also a $10,000 fine for anyone breaking the agreement for beta testing the FSD. The crash that occurred later that day in Fontana, California, where a Tesla driver was killed and 2 other men injured when the car struck an overturned semi-truck on a freeway, was of course all over the news. Details of this crash are still being investigated, but it seems like the car may have been on autopilot. But it shouldn't matter whether it was or not, because a human being has to be behind the wheel and paying attention to the road at all times. Let's run this scenario real quick. Regardless of which car you're driving, if you're in the driver's seat and you're paying attention to the road, what is the first thing you would do almost by instinct when you see an overturned semi-truck right in front of you? You are going to slow down by hitting the brakes and you will steer the car to go around it or safely stop on the side. Or do you think you would just sit there and freeze, watching as the truck gets closer and closer until you finally smash right into it? So even with a car with driver assist features like Tesla's autopilot, logically thinking you would slow down the car and even come to a full stop before hitting the truck that's right in front of you. Failing to do so means you failed at your duty as the driver. The car or the company should not be at fault even with autopilot turned on, unless it does something that actually causes the accident, like steering you into a concrete traffic divider without giving you enough time to react. Even Sandy Munro gave his thoughts on the self-driving systems and said that it would be criminal not to develop autonomous cars.
I think that what we're looking at here is we're moving into a safer environment. Anytime you can have 8 times better for anything, that's the right way to go. Now, is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. That's why it's not self-driving vehicles. But it's a lot better than the average that we've got right now, which is, like I say, every 500,000 miles, somebody's going to get into a crash.
It sounds to me like you would not be a fan of putting this self-driving technology on pause until it's perfected. I
would be furious if we don't start doing something for the reduction of car accidents. And we are staring at something that's already 8 times better, and it's only been in the marketplace for a few years. I mean, that's criminal. Whoever decides to throw that out, they definitely don't have the general public at heart. That's a fact.
Tesla says on its website and in the owner's manual that for both driver assist systems, the autopilot and FSD, drivers must be ready to intervene at any time. Despite these instructions and all the warnings, drivers have repeatedly zoned out with autopilot in use, resulting in crashes in which neither the system nor the driver stopped for obstacles in the road. Of course, when you fail to follow guidelines, that should automatically render you at fault. But the media seems to be more interested in blaming Tesla. First, it was the car fires, which they tried to use against Tesla by saying that electric cars are more dangerous. And once Tesla began testing its FSD beta on public roads, now they've moved from fires to autonomous system, trying to discredit and smear the company every way possible. Every day, media's bias against Tesla is becoming more clear. But I'm not here trying to convince you not to listen to the media. By all means, listen to them and listen very carefully. Do your own research and come to your own conclusions. It's one thing to just blindly accept everything as the truth, and another thing to make up your own mind about what's true and what's not. I recently posted a poll asking you, the viewers, about what steps should be taken to prevent people from misusing the driver assist systems, so check out the community tab and share your thoughts. Thank you for watching EV Source. Keep charging ahead and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe and take care.